even with that jacket, they were still out of pocket.
Spoilers.
Welcome to the channel, I'm Hayes, I'll talk movies all day, so subscribe right now if you want to be entertained. And today, I want to talk about the 2021, but supposed to be 2020, but probably should have been like 2015 movie starring Scarlett Johansson, which I'm pretty sure should actually be pronounced Johansson. Anyway, this was actually the first movie I saw after the cinemas reopened, and I really enjoyed it. It was a fun, cool movie with lots of cool action scenes, and according to Rotten Tomatoes, a lot of other people enjoyed it as well. So now, I'm gonna tell you why it's trash. Movie starts with Black Widow when she was still a spiderling playing outside with little sister Yelena. Yelena falls, bruises her knee, and Mama Widow comes out and kisses it better. 2 minutes into the movie and we're already encouraging kids to avoid seeking medical attention. Mama Widow then tells Yelena that pain makes you stronger, which is true, but she really should provide more context before little girls everywhere go running headfirst into trees. Yelena tells Mama Widow that she wants mac and cheese, and Mama Widow replies, "Well, I want caviar and champagne." Was that supposed to be sarcasm? Like, "Oh my god, you want mac and cheese? Well, I want caviar and champagne. We can't all get what we want, darling. Ha 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 ha." Because if so, mac and cheese really isn't a big ask. Or was Mama Widow simply just saying the things she wants? Because if that's the case, the hell are you telling a little girl for? You're the grown up, just go get it. And maybe don't advertise your drinking habit in front of the kids. Are you dumb? Wait, they got something to like? I swear that turns people yellow. So is that why there's a yellow tinge in these scenes? Marvel be throwing shade right now? Daddy Widow gets home from work and tells her family they're going on a big adventure, and it implies that ain't nothing good is about to happen. But Yelena doesn't seem to know that and is all excited. Yet, she doesn't question why Daddy Widow was taking a rifle with him. So, do they normally let the little girl pick up bullets that they fumbled and dropped on the floor? Just because they're Russian spies? Don't mean they gotta be Russian spies. I'm just saying, they're supposed to be acting like a regular family, and so far, ain't nothing regular about this family. Neglecting health, enabling poor diet choices, dumping their problems on the kids, irresponsible gun ownership. I mean, what kind of family does... Oh, wait a minute, they're pretending to be an American family. Okay. Alright, never mind. So 21 years later, Yelena now has a Russian accent, I guess from spending all that time in the Red Room. So, how come Natasha does not have a Russian accent? Yelena, the spy, goes to ground in pursuit of her target, in her Black Widow outfit, in the middle of town. Are you dumb? Somebody saw him, by the way. Does Leonardo DiCaprio know he's in this film? 25 minutes in and the Joss Whedon influence still lingers on in the MCU movies. Taskmaster goes to get the vials and had to fight Natasha to get them. Taskmaster had plenty of opportunities to kill Natasha during the fight and didn't take any of them. Also, I ain't no weapons expert or nothing, but if you're gonna tell someone that you're a better shot when pissed off, maybe try not aiming directly at the shield. Are you dumb? Natasha manages to escape with the vials, but are we really supposed to believe that after an explosion and a swim through the river, none of them got lost or damaged? Really? Furthermore, how long were the vials in Natasha's possession, and it's only now they come looking for them? When the cameras are on? So apparently Yelena sent Natasha the vials. Okay, when was that exactly? I'm gonna assume that was in 2020 because that's when we all lost a year. But if Yelena wasn't sure she can trust Natasha, why send her the vials? Why not use her secret spy skills and send them straight to Avengers HQ instead? In fact, that's probably a much better idea anyway. Also, the vials are still intact after Natasha and Yelena fight. What are these things made of? Natasha says she destroyed almost an entire city just to kill Dreykov, but it turns out Dreykov isn't dead. So should Natasha be brought up on war crimes? At the very least, we now know her methods are highly inefficient and ineffective. Speaking of dead, that fall definitely kills the non-superpowered Natasha. It broke her spine, it gave her severe whiplash and concussion, she went to hospital and died 10 days later. She definitely did not land on her feet and walked it off. For a secret spy organization, the Black Widows don't seem very secretive. Natasha stole Yelena's motorbike keys and Yelena, the spy, didn't notice. Natasha tells Yelena, you can't just steal a guy's car, which is true, stealing is wrong, but coming from Natasha who just stole Yelena's motorbike keys, not sure she's in much of a position to talk. Yelena grabs the steering wheel and makes a sharp turn without telling Natasha. Now, I don't know if that car is manual or automatic, but in any case, you still need to manually put it in reverse by first holding down the clutch and or brake pedal, which means that car crashed and killed them both. It definitely did not drive backwards while it did some cool action spy stuff. Also, let it be known that the airbags in BMWs don't work. Hold up, so Natasha did have a Russian accent when she was with the Red Room. So what happened to it? How long has Daddy Widow been in prison and a super soldier hasn't tried to escape before? Only now, when the cameras are on, it's beyond clear that he's way stronger than everyone else, so why are they even bothering to arm wrestle the guy? A super soldier with a bunch of crooks in a regular prison could have escaped a long time ago, especially when you consider that these bozos managed to escape a high security facility after being there for like a day? Also, the super soldier serum gives them a much faster metabolism, which is why Captain America wasn't able to get drunk. Faster metabolism also means you burn fat a lot quicker as well. So when was Daddy Widow given a serum? Because that toy would suggest it was before the donuts. So how many donuts would Daddy Widow have to eat to gain fat quicker than a serum could burn? Because I'd like to know that story. Also, how did Natasha know when Daddy Widow put the earpiece in? Furthermore, with no instructions, how would they know he would pull the cord that pops the head off? Furthermore, clearly the prison guards have no issue taking a prisoner's mail, so we're supposed to believe that not nobody pulled the cord on a toy entering a prison as a security check or just natural curiosity? This was not a plan. They got lucky. Oh, and now that they ain't bad guys anymore, they wear white. Yelena definitely died in a helicopter. She was shot and the helicopter exploded after all the bullets it took. That guy definitely did not fire multiple rounds from a high-powered machine gun turret aimed directly at her and miss every single vital shot. Yelena looks at the fuel meter in a helicopter and says they don't have enough for St. Petersburg. Daddy Widow does not look at the fuel meter and says they do. Yelena says, okay. Are you dumb? Natasha says to Mama Widow, no funny business. Probably should have told Disney that too. Just saying. 21 years later, and neither Daddy or Mama Widow seem to have any regrets about their time with the Red Room. In fact, Mama Widow is still with the Red Room. So why are Yelena and Natasha still hanging around? Oh wait, it's because they haven't had their heart-to-heart moment when they realize how their work has negatively impacted their pretend children. Like seriously, they didn't know that until now? This whole time Mama Widow was working on mind control drugs and it didn't occur to her that they're probably going to be used on the same girls they bought from desperate parents. Are you dumb? Taskmaster and the Red Room army turn up. Now we know that Natasha knows that they're coming, but they don't know that Natasha knows that they're coming. So maybe a discreet approach would have been more appropriate. You know, for spies, they really don't do much spying. Okay, so let me see if I got this right. Natasha and Mama Widow change clothes, pull in a magic face mask, change their heights by 8 centimeters, their voice, hair color, hairstyle, and earrings, and came up with a plan which involved telling Natasha where the Red Room is, how to get there, and how to find Draco's office, plus the whole thing about pheromones, all within, what, 3, maybe 4 minutes? Even if that were possible, none of them have shown that level of proficiency. Also, they don't state this as one of Taskmaster's abilities, but it seems to be within reason that if you can mimic people's moves by watching them, you can probably tell if someone's wearing a mask. So this plan shouldn't have gotten very far. Also, I get that they were faking their American accents in the beginning, but how is it when speaking English with a Russian accent, their grammar is off? We already know they can speak English with the correct grammar structure, so why does a Russian accent mean that they all of a sudden forget proper word placement? And Daddy Widow in particular seems a whole lot less intelligent since he got his Russian accent back. Matter of fact, why aren't any of them speaking a non-native language when they don't have to? This widow has bags under her eyes suggesting sleep deprivation. None of the other widows seem to be sleep deprived, which means she has a pretty unique experience that doesn't get explored. Just saying, I'd like to know that story. So this plan that Mama Widow and Natasha concocted also involves knocking out Yelena, giving her an earpiece and hiding a 2-inch blade in her pocket, all still within the 3 to 4 minutes by the way. Now, I know they were short on time, but don't you think they should have at least told Yelena something before knocking her out? This woman was getting ready to die. And speaking of earpieces, are we supposed to believe that a highly trained assassin couldn't tell she had something in her ear? Furthermore, are we really supposed to believe that the whole time she was knocked out and taken to the lab, nobody searched the body? A secret spy organization that apparently sedates people on entry and exit, and they didn't search the body? And as if that wasn't bad enough, the doctors didn't even notice the earpiece when they were drawing on her face. Are they dumb? Draco's Russian accent drops a little here.
Don't tell me to stop!
By the way, out of all the Russian characters in the film, none of them are played by Russian actors. 2 of them do have Russian heritage though. Scarlett Johansson, whose character speaks with an American accent, and Olga Kurylenko, whose character only has 3 words. So Draco implanted pheromonal thingies to prevent the widows from harming him if they can smell him, and apparently just holding your breath isn't enough. You gotta sever the nerve. Okay, but I don't know, maybe also standing across the room and holding your breath while popping a cap in his ass might work too? Just saying, maybe try that first. By the way, severing the olfactory sensor is permanent, which means any MCU movie after 2016 Natasha can't smell. Now, what exactly is the timeline? Because if Draco's daughter was a little girl when she got blown up, but Natasha was a grown woman, and now Draco's daughter is a grown woman, but Natasha is still the same age? This movie is set in 2016, which puts Natasha at around 30. It's not mentioned how old Draco's daughter is, but she's looking at least around the same age as Natasha, maybe about 5 years older. So there's no way she could have been a child when Natasha was already an adult. Mama Widow was on a bridge and shoots upwards to escape the armed forces, and in the time it took for her shot to hit the engine that fell and destroyed the bridge, not one of them fired a single round. Really? There's some 10 or so widows that come to kill Natasha, and at most they attack 2 or 3 at a time while the rest just stand around watching. Really? Draco, the head of a secret spy organization, didn't check he still had his ring with him. Really? Natasha jumps out the window right before the explosion, but being that close to fire would cause at least some burning. Matter of fact, considering all she's been through, how is Natty even still walking after this? Rhodey got a broken leg, Hulk got a broken arm, Hawkeye went partially deaf, even Thor got fat, but Natasha, with no superpowers, no super suit, and apparently not even that good at her job, just a few bruises, but otherwise, totally fine. Even her broken nose heals neatly in about 10 minutes. To be fair, they do say that Draco selected her because of her genetic potential, but they never say what that is. So, I don't know, maybe ibuprofen really is just that good. Natasha uses hooks to Lara Croft the floor to stop from falling, but the floor is a thin rubber layer over metal, so those hooks would not have dug in deep enough to get a good enough grip. So yeah, Natasha died in this scene. Plus, they're above the clouds, they all should be dead from a lack of oxygen. So yeah, they really need to explain her genetic potential, because this really isn't making any... Wait a minute. Water? Earth? Fire? Air? Is Natasha the Avatar? Yelena blows up the plane that Draco was on. She survives the explosion, but seriously, no burn marks? Or maybe what we don't see is Mama Widow kissing her burn marks better real quick. Natasha punches the vial, breaking it to release the antidote on Taskmaster. The same vial that survived a rocket, a river, fighting, and apparently a fall from the Red Room, but one punch can break... You know what? Genetic potential. Fine. So now that Taskmaster is free from Draco's mind control, why does that mean she forgives Natasha for using her as collateral damage when she was a kid? It's pretty much Natasha's incompetence that got her in that situation to begin with. Okay, so Ross eventually catches up with Natasha, and 2 weeks later she's off to break the Avengers out of prison. I mean, can we get an inkling as to what happened with Ross? I'd have to guess that Ross never actually caught her. She must have changed her hair color real quick and confused him. I mean, that's kind of how it works in GTA, so... This guy was sleeping on his back, then he's sleeping on his side. $200 million movie and they couldn't get continuity right. Also, notice that he did not give Natasha any keys for the aircraft, which means either it doesn't need keys or the keys were left on the craft. This guy went to sleep and left an illegally obtained jet unattended for anybody to come take. Now I know they're in the middle of nowhere, so who's gonna even see it, right? But a little while back, the same dude was upset when Yelena questioned his professionalism. Isn't that the Red Room logo? Seems a bit inappropriate to put it on Natasha's grave. The movie ends with Valentina telling Yelena that Clint Barton is responsible for Natasha's death, which, to be fair, he kinda is. But who took that picture of Clint Barton in the Ronin outfit with the mask off and looking directly at the camera? And that's a pretty clear shot. That ain't no hidden camera thing. Somebody knows that Clint is Ronin, and Clint knows that somebody knows he's Ronin. Now maybe this is something that gets explained later, but for now, it seems either Clint wasn't that good at covering his identity, or he trusted the wrong person. Alright, so before I get into my final thoughts, if you liked this movie, check out these movies. They're all spy movies and they're all pretty boring, to be honest. Apart from Haywire, Gina Carano manhandles all the superheroes in that one. So like I said in the beginning, I did actually enjoy this movie. Taking it at face value, it's a cool action movie with some awesome stunts. It gives some insight to Natasha Romanoff while introducing new characters to the MCU that we could be seeing more of. Overall, it does what it needs to do. And perhaps that's also its biggest problem. It does what it needs to do, but not much of anything else. Black Widow is in a unique position as an MCU movie. It's the first Disney MCU film since Endgame, but it sets before Endgame and also leads into the next set of movies that happen after Endgame. So on one hand, you want to do something that will blow people's minds, but you also don't want to do so much that it'll be difficult to top by the time the next Endgame comes around. And in the end, it just gives us what we've already come to know. If you're someone who's already invested in the MCU, then you might be willing to allow the fact that some of the first movies after Endgame are probably just going to be pretty standard affairs. Big action, big stunts, decent story, and a little teasing. If you're one of the 2 people in the world who have never seen any MCU movies, then Black Widow could be a good place to start. But if you're one of the casual MCU fans, which is probably most people, you've watched a few films but never bothered with the rest, then I'm not sure this is going to do much for you. I guess the real question is, who is this film for? I mean, yeah, they want as many people to watch it as possible because they need to make their money back, but creatively, who is this being made for? And I think it's fair to say that this is really being made for the fans, or more specifically, the fans who wanted to see a Black Widow movie. People who wanted a movie of Natasha Romanoff doing badass spy action stuff. And that's what it serves, in copious amounts, even to the point where it really doesn't make any sense. But it looks so cool. My guess is that although this movie sets up new characters and potentially new themes, when it's all said and done, this film might not be that significant to the whole thing. I mean, I think this would be one of the movies that you can skip and still understand the main overall story without feeling lost. Kind of like Black Panther and Captain Marvel, great films in their own right, but if you skipped over them, you're still gonna understand Infinity War and Endgame. But I don't think that's the point, because it knows its audience and it speaks directly to its audience. And in the end, it does what it needed to do. And that's what I think of Black Widow. What do you think of Black Widow? Let me know down below, and while you're there, be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a suggestion if you don't mind.